Welcome to Bampton in the Lake District National Park. Behind us we are about to see something incredibly rare. It hasn't been to the market for a significant period of time and is situated within this breathtaking scenery. Now strangely, I'm starting at the bottom of the driveway, and the only reason I'm doing that is because the driveway is so vast leading up to this farmsteading that I wanted to be able to give perspective as to how it is positioned. And you've got these fantastic field views and countryside views all around. Now, just to put into perspective, that's my little car back there, and that was about halfway up the driveway as it stood. So I think there's a significant distance and significant amount of space between the actual village and this steading. Now, the whole steading itself is in need of full renovation. It's a grade 2 listed building. It has barns that surround it, about 3.4 acres of land. There's some great garaging spaces, but it does need completely going through. So for this type of transaction, it's likely to just be a cash purchaser only. The land is beautifully positioned. It's stone walled all around and really sets off the style of property with the pretty views out that it has. The building itself is a fantastic time warp. I'm very excited about showing it to you. But just as we're at the brow of this hill now, I'm going to turn around and give you a bit of a glimpse back and all around, as the farmsteading is just here. Now I'm going to conclude this walk up the driveway just to give a bit of an insight as to how it's positioned. And now let's go and have a look around the actual farmsteading itself and see what you think. So at the top of the driveway now, as you can see behind us, there's you can't see the extent of the house because it's set within its own courtyard. You've got these lovely barns which are either side. Just to show, there's a little bit more external space here, currently used as garaging, but that would be perfectly suitable for that. Now, things that are important to make mention, and when I've said standalone property, I truly mean standalone. The driveway leads up here. The current owners are going to retain an access about halfway down with a roadway that will go through the back of this field to the rest of their fields towards the fells. Now, that means that this property is fully ring fenced within its own space. When you look behind, you've got this roadway that leads up through the driveway, but that's going to be blocked off, so it gives full independence to these wonderful buildings, meaning that you can truly have a tranquil private area that isn't able to be accessed by any other people. I'm really excited about showing you this, so I'm going to turn the camera around and then give you a really good tour of the outside of the property so it makes a little bit more sense, and hopefully you like what you see. Okay, well, there we go. We have that fabulous view again. And then coming into play, a great farmhouse. So just wait until we pop around this corner over here, but I'll just scan back quickly, show you these buildings are being used as garages. There's another garage here. This is going to be blocked off, so it keeps this all completely independent and private. This is one of the barns, and they're looking pretty decent, Nick. I mean, they're going to need to be re-roofed. There's a bit of the building work falling down on one side. It is a full renovation. But when you break into the courtyard here and realise the extent of the buildings and its incredible outlook, it starts to make a bit of sense what can be done to secure the future of this fantastic listed building. Now I'll show you the barns and everything else and the land as it's positioned. There's quite a bit to see, but I will just dwell here for another few seconds just to give you a proper glimpse of this. So as we walk up to this barn, it obviously goes a little bit darker, but this will give you an idea of this wonderful space, and the beams and everything else are very standout. But this is a significant sized barn. Now obviously anything to be done here, you are in the Lake District National Park and it would be subject to any planning consents, but there is a usable space here for whatever purpose, be it equestrian, be it storage, work live, all of those sort of things I'm sure can be considered. Now I'll take you out here, because as we enter this area, this is the paddock that will be coming with this property. So if we look at the stone wall, it goes all the way down here and all the way back round in itself. What an incredible vista. Absolutely stunning. So as we look through, you've got some old buildings. They're a bit ramshackled. They're going to definitely need some attention. Much of this site and property is just at that point. It needs renovating. It needs preserving. It needs bringing back. The exciting thing for me as an agent, and especially an estate agent that absolutely adores the period side of things, this is over 300 years old. It's listed for a reason, because it's a building of historical significance. The structure and the condition of things is not too bad. I mean, it's going to need a significant amount of work, but everything was built to such a high standard that all those years ago. And because of that, there's a great building here to resurrect. I'll show you into this second barn. And as we walk in, you can see the original stalls and bits are in there. It's a bit of history in its own as part of a working farm. And there's a couple of parts of this property which I find absolutely beautiful. But as you look through this, it's so nicely done. I mean, barns are quite a favourite of mine anyway, but this little section here, I mean, you just wonder what you can do with it. I think there are fairly limiting factors as to, obviously subject to planning on creating independent dwellings, I think would be very, very difficult. But having all of this space to be able to make a merge into the house, I think it's a fantastic that it's got it. And this is very cute as well. I mean, again, needs refurbishment, but this could be a rear area of any Lakeland cottage, any Lakeland area. And you can imagine, with the history that's behind this, how many people have sat there and the uses that have been done for this over the years. Absolutely beautiful. So I'll take you around to show you the rear of the property. And we can access from this side area here. Now, this obviously remains within the ring fence of the property. And then you've got this great private, well, everything's private here, but a garden area to the rear, full of trees and foliage. And as you can see, as we look up here and here, both of the gable ends of these are leaning out. They're taking in water. They definitely need a significant amount of work to get them right. But when they are right, they'll be good for another 200 or 300 years. And preserving this fantastic listed building, as I've said, is of paramount importance. And to the right buyer, something that, well, will go without saying as being an incredibly important part. So the nice thing is, obviously, as you can see here, the roof has got falling in a bit, but all of the material is here. So the slate is here to be redone. It's a case of getting things fixed and repaired rather than having to buy all of the material to be able to make it right. I think there's enough here to be getting at. Over here, we've got this walled little paddock that's down there, which is quite lovely. So let's have a look inside now. I mean, as I've said, this is a time warp, so brace yourself. This is a really important property, and I'm so pleased that it hasn't been completely stripped out, because there's a lot of things there to save. So here we go. So we enter this little porch. I'm assuming this would have been the main entrance door, although over here there is an entrance door with a hallway, so maybe it wasn't, but this would lead straight into this great time capsule. I mean, you look down, all of the flags are here, so the chances of being able to resurrect those are pretty good. You've got stunning views, I mean, from every area. They're absolutely beautiful. And this is the parts that excite me the most. You've got what looks like some of the original paneling. These cupboards are just, they're so old. They've got so much character to them. And there's this, which I believe has been used up until recently, and it's in great condition. There's daft things, which may not mean much to anyone, but the person that sees this, that they get excited by it like me, will realise that having these little cupboards that are built in, which clearly are hundreds of years old, with these amazing old hinges. Wow, what a space. I remember the first time I came in here, I came into a place that's in need of full renovation, that needs a lot doing to it, and walked out of here like I'd seen a house that was in pristine condition, but so much more exciting. I mean, even things like this old cabinet, which are built in with a plate rack and stuff. I mean, I don't know the history behind it, but it's the fact it's there and after a few hundred years is still standing is quite miraculous. We've got this lovely oak paneling. All of the doors have that right patina in age. And we come into this little, I don't know, utility scullery area. And again, you've got your flags on the floor, fireplace, which has just been uncovered. I mean, this is as raw as it gets. Usually we see these and they've had loads of work or they've been chipped away at. I mean, I can imagine being here 150 years ago and it being pretty much the same as it is now. We've got an old larder, which has got obviously beams and sandstone plinths and all of the things that you would expect in there. I love this. So we're going to pop this. So if we look here, you've got the original sandstone steps. We'll go upstairs in a moment. There's plenty of other things to look at. So I'll just nod to this because it's just another larder, bit of storage cupboard area. And then as we come into here, now this has been used as the kitchen. You can see by the style of kitchen that's in there, it's a very 1960s kitchen. So it's obviously not been updated for a long time, but the whole house needs going through. I'm not going to say any rooms in particular are better than others because that would be unfair to say. But there's little things like these old spice and salt cupboards, which that has got a date of 1728 on it. I mean, now that is amazing. And that would have been to store the really expensive things of the time that that you needed to have in a safe, secure, dry place that you don't get in many farmhouses. Actually, there's one around the corner, if I remember rightly. No, I should have popped the lights on. And yeah, if I could get a better look at that. But I think that may even predate the other, and it's got a lock on it just to show that the things that were put in there back in the day were considered that important that they needed to keep them under lock and key. Coming into this room, I think there's a slight different period change in here. There's definitely parts of the house which feel older than the others. I think the part where we started definitely feels a lot older. With the wooden mouldings and the door types that we've got in here, I think this is definitely a later thing. I mean, obviously the fireplace is 1940s, 1950s, and sash window with a view out over the front. And yeah, what wonderful cloud patination today as well to go with this tour. Now, we're going to take a peek upstairs. Some of this is going to look a little bit dark, and it's meant to. And there's not lights everywhere. The whole place is going to need to be gone through. But I want you to see this in its raw state. If this makes you think, oh my God, I couldn't possibly do something like that, then at least the video was doing its job. But to you out there that love a listed building, that love a piece of English heritage, then I'm sure this will get you as excited as it's got me. So when you look at things from floorboards to these old doors, I mean, there's a few hundred years of history. This is a bedroom, needs a bit of work in there clearly, but the floorboards and everything else are probably salvageable. Now we've got a doorway here, it's blocked. It doesn't have a window in it, but it did originally, so I won't be able to show you that. And I'll now take you to have a look at one of the bedrooms. So the bedrooms are a decent size. They've got nice bright windows, and there is a lot of light in here, which is lovely. And obviously the views to wake up to, not too shabby. And we've got a lovely old oak door in here as well. So coming into The next bedroom, you'll notice it's definitely a lot brighter upstairs than it was downstairs. A little bit of that is just the fact that the windows are not open properly, and it would brighten up once you get a lick of paint in and change things around. But coming into this bedroom again, I love to peek out onto the views. We've got fantastic views over the open countryside. Now, the next room that we're going to look at is about the smallest, but for me, one of the most intriguing. You've got this absolutely incredible old oak door, which has got some serious age to it. And when you look at the hinges and other parts, and even the door furniture, I mean, all handmade and arguably 300 years old. I mean, the fact that these things still exist are incredible. And then you come in and it's been lining papered, but you look then a bit closer at the oak panelling, which is in here, which has been hidden under 3 or 4 sets of different wallpaper. I mean, it's there to be able to bring back, and it is beautiful. You can see where it's been handmade. And yeah, these things just don't go into new houses now. So the fact that you can have all of these things to uncover and rediscover is absolutely incredible. Now, it's only a little room. There's a doorway here that goes up into the loft, and I would gladly show you. However, the stairs are in need of some TLC, and unfortunately I'm still carrying a little bit of Christmas weight, and as such I think I'd probably fall through the stairs, so let's not take any chances, hey? So as we come into this section here, you can see these incredibly wide oak boards. Again, we usually get ripped up in the 60s and 50s and then replaced with something that's flat and straight. Well, if that's what you want, then you should buy a new house. Something like this really commands having these fantastic features resurrected. Now, this room is one of the best and equally one of the worst at the same time. We've got a rather spacious room with fantastic oak planks, and obviously from every window there are fabulous views. But the ceiling's taken a bit of water in over the years, so it's in need of, definitely in need of a bit more love. However, if you look and focus hard enough at the roof joists, they are absolutely beautiful. You can see the twists and turns that have been put in them to be able to accommodate that roof over the years, and it's there to resurrect. So what looks a little bit terrifying in points is quite easily a roof repair, and then obviously the beams that need to be done, sorted, put back up, and there's plenty of amazing Cumbrian craftspeople out there that can accommodate that kind of refurbishment. As I said, downstairs, I think this is a later part of the house, because these don't have that 300-year vibe. They have that more, possibly a slightly later feel. I might be completely wrong, but that's what it feels like when I'm in here. So as we lead back down, now I'm going to pop back into the bathroom again, because something I noticed when I came in this morning is that we've got all of this panelling. And then if you look a little closer, there's hinges on each section. So this must have opened up at some point. I'm not sure what the reasoning for that is, but it's a really cool feature and something I'd definitely, if it was my house, want to explore further. So that kind of finishes upstairs. I mean, there's a great storage cupboard. Again, we've got a lot of age with these wonderful hinges, and the whole property has the exact vibe that you would want and expect from something as historically significant as this building. So we have a large farmhouse. There are 2 adjoining barns, which, subject to the relevant planning consent, could be, I dare say, considered for some sort of development, but I do not believe for independent houses. I think that you could make this existing farmhouse larger by maybe extending into the adjoining barn, and then maybe a bit of a live-work environment or something like that, subject to planning in the other barn, just to make sure that it has a use. The steading itself is set within about 3.4 acres of land, which means that you've got plenty of space. All of the area is covered in stone walls, so that you have a really pretty outlook. You're elevated, so the views over towards the fells and the open countryside is absolutely incredible. So when will this come up again? The answer to that is probably never. I mean, I think that having been bought by the current owners when it was tenant farmed in the 50s, and it probably hasn't been sold from then, as it was within one ownership at that point. This is your chance to buy an incredible piece of our English heritage and make it what it could be all over again and protect for the next 300 years to come. If you are interested in taking on one of the most wonderful projects I've had the opportunity to sell, then please do call us on 01768 881111 and we will be delighted to be able to discuss this further. Thank you.